Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Nawtystep channel, and it is time for another Extra Nawties monthly roundup. 30 mini reviews coming in this video for all of you, covering all kinds of bass music in alphabetical order by way of artist or record label name as per, and at the end extra mentions coming as per as well, those which I didn't have quite enough to say about, either good or bad, but which I still think you guys should check out. It is worth, well, they are worth your time. Very star-studded edition of the Extra Nawties monthly roundup that we are getting right here, that I'm giving to all of you. Loads of big names on show, so without any further ado, let's go. And kicking off this installment, we have the new album from AU5, Bridges Between, which is classic AU5 for the most part. I think my favourite material on here is the less heavy stuff, if I'm being honest, like track number 2, Bridges. That would have to be my personal pick of what we get here, but yeah, generally just a very bass, multi-genre kind of collection, very musically sound. The production's really good across the board. There's loads of story and scope kind of bound up in it, which is great. So yeah, it ticks a lot of boxes as an album. Not quite elite, I wouldn't call it that, but yeah, really good. Another very flavourful EP from Beutnoise on Disciple Roundtable. Pepino, the opening track, is fantastic. What a way to kick the EP off. Very much him in full flow there. The other three I don't think quite reach that level, but it's still kind of brimming and teeming with colour and fun and all that good stuff. So yeah, I just fucking love this guy. I love what he's doing. I love what he's bringing to the table. It's unique, it's enjoyable, it's very exciting. And I always look forward to new music from him, which I suppose just says it all. Latest album from BTSM, Black Tiger Sex Machine, and I'm afraid to say that it's another album from them where the production just isn't good enough. I mean, you can have all the variety you want, the world building, the lobbing in of different influences and whatnot. That's great, but if the makeup of it isn't really there and just feels a bit amateurish overall, then it's quite hard to engage with it fully as a whole kind of LP listen, if you will. The vocals vary a lot as well, like wildly, from a pretty decent, I don't really know what's going on there, and quite questionable. So, yeah. Next up, we have a hard-hitting and diverse and intricately arranged bass EP from Capshun with different kinds of trap music, bits of breaks and halftime and techno lobbed in, so quite a lot going on here. Good vocals as well, I'll say that for sure, across the 5 cuts we get here, in little dotted areas here and there. A couple of production gaps where you're just like, oh, just a couple more sounds would really round that off. But beyond that, mostly just a riveting collection for sure. Sorry to say, but I can't fully get on board with any of these on this new Crowsnest audio compilation. I mean, there are tracks that are decent, like the Krishan, the Super Wet, the Akira Khan, they're all pretty good. But the others beyond that don't really even get to that point for me and don't really do enough to stand out in the context of the compilation. Yeah. Another collage-y, multi-influence bonanza from Fellsius, this new 3-tracker from him. None of my favourites of his are on this EP, I wouldn't say, but it is still very unpredictable and off the wall, and it connects many different eras, I think, of electronic music, which is really awesome. The different influences we get here all kind of lobbed together. It's seamless on that front. Again, not any of my favourite tracks of his here, but just the range, the ambition, the scope of the influence and the bringing together of different styles is really cool, once again. There are some cracking tracks on this new G Jones album. We're talking Too Far Gone, we're talking Which Way, Maybe. Those are my personal picks from the 11 that we get here. And it's shorter overall, which I think is good for something that is so kind of sonically full on, you know, quite a few cuts here, under 3 minutes, which works as well for the streaming age that we are in, which you might say is a bit of a bad thing, pandering to that, but it's a fact, it's a reality of music right now, and he tailors his sound to that really, really well. I just love how alive this project feels overall. The production's incredibly fresh and acidic and, yeah, lively, like I said. And, you know, it could have had maybe a couple more catchy ideas, just a couple more memorable motifs and stuff over the course of the collection, just to bring you back in a bit more readily, but generally, it's extremely immersive, and maybe my favourite collection of music from him yet. New EP from Hukae, which I think apart from Planet X, that collaboration with Claybrook, maybe track number 3 of the 4 we get here, not his sauciest ideas compared to what we're used to from him, a little bit less showy and outlandish and kind of ostentatious, a little bit more rooted in underground dubstep sounds, let me know if you agree with that, but still does sound distinctly like him, which is good. I love that. I love his design, his aesthetic, his approach to making bass music. It's really good. And I can't say that about many people. You know, you hear it and you're instantly like, that is Hukae, but more than that, I like it a lot. So yeah, always gonna have that going for him. New collection of music from IMANU, which I think very much runs like a kind of miniature version of Unfold, his LP, his debut LP from last year, because there are some utterly brilliant ideas and drops here, in amidst stuff that's just a bit more fine and kind of run-of-the-mill for him. You know, elite tracks like Of Two Minds and Dream Sequence, that couplet, I think tracks 3 and 4 here, is absolutely insane. That is incredible, incredible material there. But then you get the house stuff kind of elsewhere on the collection, which just slows it down a bit. Other bits here and there that are just a little bit more ordinary. So overall, a little bit of a mixed bag, not gonna lie. Very, very good indeed to see Infekt branching out beyond his usual dubby dubstep, wubs style, that kind of thing. You got your standard rhythmy kind of music from him that he's done, you know, time and again over the years, but it does get more expansive as it goes on. I think as the EP goes on, kind of reveals more of itself over time. You got the breakbeat with the final couplet that really works, I think, with his design. Take That, I think in particular, is just so fucking cheeky. More of that from him, more of that kind of experimentation and branching out and trying out different things would be top. Latest Without God compilation from Interval Audio, which I think is pretty good. Really liking how it kicks off the first half or so. You got tracks like the Sorioki, the Divider, the IPv4. Those are really good, in particular for me, those three. Not quite as compelling as it goes on, this compilation in the second half. Ideas and concepts wise, the good gets a little bit drowned out, a little bit swamped out as it goes on into that second half. But yeah, Interval Audio still remains, for the ambition, the variety alone, one of the best labels for me in bass music overall, not just the underground. Debut album from ISOxo is decent. I think it's nice to hear his style over the course of an LP, that's good. The experimentation within that comes in handy, I think, in quite a big way, and perks it up, if you know what I mean, because there are a good few tracks here, in my opinion, that just feel far too similar regarding drops and ideas and the structures of those tunes as well. But I would also say that this collection does have an album feel about it. The setup of the album overall is good. It does have that aura about it, and tracks like Skylit and Moonspell are fucking top draw. So yeah, I'm just calling it decent for now, because that is what I think with the drawbacks we get here, but there is a lot of good as well to kind of counter that, for sure. Latest TOBER collection from KAIFU, and first of all, I just want to appreciate how fucking impressive this is once again. Like, the variety, the production quality, a track every single day of October. Can we just, for a moment, can we just sit here and appreciate that? But beyond that, when it comes to favourites here of the 31, because there are 31 days in October, lest we forget, my favourites within that, it's the Inside, Poor Decisions, and Ambivalence. That would be my top 3 here. I think many tracks here do need quite a bit of refining conceptually, ideas, drops-wise. They just feel like throwing sounds at a wall and kind of seeing what sticks, and not having much of a coherent idea as a result, which makes for, you know, not the most comfortable listening. But generally, it is riveting overall because of the production, the sounds used, and I can only just sit here and think, you know, imagine him just spending a year crafting a proper LP, like a, I don't know, a 10, 11 tracker, and like really spending time just diving into the story of something, because my God, it's scary to think about how good that could be. MPH doing MPH things once again. We've got the opener here, the track title, Crash and Burn. That is fucking gorgeous. The vocal chopping, the instrumental, amazing track, the chemistry between everything going on there, insane. Following that, track number 2, Overrated, gritty as hell, love that track as well. The rest aren't quite there, not quite reaching that level, but they're still fun, and it makes for a good EP overall. So yeah, MPH proving once again he is one of the best in garage, house, that crossover. Latest EP from MUERTE, which I think might be his longest one so far in terms of the amount of tracks we get here, but it does run similar, I think, to other past EPs we've got from him, in that most drops do sound quite similar to a lot of others that he's put out in the past. But yet again, with another EP from him, there are gems, and here in particular, we get Dream Chamber, which is fucking fantastic, kind of mixing the vulnerability and the emotion of a track like Sleep Puppets from him, which he put out a few years ago by now, with that staple vintage MUERTE heaviness, which is great. And also got a lot more character, this EP, than I think compared to usual from him, with more vocals that we get with this collection of tracks, which is good. More vocal performances. Yeah, I think still quite a bit of room for experimentation and branching out, but also still good here for sure. Following that, Neddie, the Nedmeister, the Nedster, going down a bit of a darker route for this latest EP. I think once again for me, the snares just across the board are really not to my liking. They've got this kind of overblown, harsh noise, kind of just redlining appeal to them that just blows out the track and the heaviness quite a bit, and that's a constant throughout the EP pretty much. But yet again, there are some top tracks from him, like The Rage Right Beneath the Surface. You've got He's Crazy as well, a couple of second drops in here, also a little bit more towards the end with a couple of those cuts. Yeah, he is just one of the most consistent in the underground, if we're still calling him that. Then we have this new remix compilation from Nëu Music, sister imprint, sister label of Neo Signal. Yeah, it's a really good comp, a really stealthy collection of fantastic D&B producers. You got the Masev kicking it off, which is great, very powerful opening. You got the Martens, I think at track 3 here, which is my personal favourite. That is very, very good. But all the rest, I mean, I think we get 9 here in total, maybe, from what I remember. They're all genuinely fucking good in some way or another, like really captivating with either the sounds or the way the original is refashioned or just the production, how kind of arresting that is. It really is a production masterclass, this compilation. If you haven't heard it yet, I imagine many of you haven't, quite a fair few of you. It's a very big recommend, one of the best of the month, of last month. Faux show. Have to be honest, I don't quite think any of these Nitepunk remixes are fantastic front to back, start to finish kind of thing. I think the Control Freak gets closest. He's on a bit of a roll at the moment, as we all know. Then the Invaders and Wink, the Rohan and Gaja collabs, they're pretty decent, they're quite solid. But the rest, you know, they elevate the originals a bit. They do a bit of good refashioning here and there, but not quite enough to the point that I'm like, yes. Another interesting Oolacile project. It definitely has left me curious in owing to the title of this album, but not that many ideas that I like here, gonna be honest, but I do love the aesthetic. I love the design of it. I love how it's reflective of the artwork. I think it feels very free-spirited and ambitious to go with that as well, given the amount of variety we get here. Blitz and Divergent with Autumn Hate a little bit later on are genuinely, I think, some of his best tracks in years. So yeah, I'm not like overly hyped about it, but there is still a fair amount of good, I would say, given what I've said in this mini review. So yeah, them's my thoughts on that one. One of the most impressive compilations I've heard in quite a while here from OTHERWRLD. Yeah, there are some fucking sensational tracks here from the likes of Raisku, Tristan and Frisson. You've got the sport mode, the waveform as well, a little bit more towards the end. You've got the Majoris Drep, who many of you may know through Rmxs, that label, and various other dubstep releases here and there. But yeah, it's got breakbeat, it's got different kinds of trap, and everything else within that hybrid, kind of bound up in that. Yeah, it's really good. Loads of good material here. Not often you hear a good compilation, and this is definitely one of them. Get on it if you haven't yet. A good D&B album from QZB. Very solid account, I think. A good representation of their style and what they're about, what they're best for. You got tracks like Riot Gear Romance and Kadaira and Point Precision as well, which are all very on point. I love those 3. But overall here, just got a very modern underground feel to it. Done really, really well. Production's great. The vocals are well matched as well, which just elevates it, gives it an added bit of character, which is good. Yeah, if that appeals, if you're trying to get into D&B a bit more, this is a fucking great place to start. A good main label debut here for SØNATA on Circus Records. Yeah, wild, bombastic, color-based tunes that we are getting here. It's kind of like a really hyper, kind of brighter Vultra, I would say. A lot of the sound usage, I think, is quite similar, which is good. That's cool. Just done really well, with elements of sharks in there as well, I would say. So not the worst people to be kind of bringing together, not the worst influences to kind of go off. But yeah, again, another one of the very best in the underground. Been a fan for quite a while, been following SØNATA for a few years, so having this break is fantastic, and hopefully this is a platform that he can just go off and, you know, continue to do his thing. This is a good collection of music. And after that, another very rich and colourful and melodic Circus EP, this time from Sub 001. Here, I think, kind of melding dubstep structures with neuro-jazzy kind of sound usage. It makes for quite a striking and compelling combination. It's kind of like picking from a fruit tree continually, again and again, and kind of every time you go back there, even though you've just picked a load of fruit from this tree, it's replenished straight away. I think at every turn here, with each track we get, it's just sound after sound of intense colour and vibrancy. It's an insane listen, wildly creative, and it's very worth your time if you haven't checked it out yet. Debut album from Sully. I don't think any of his best tracks are here quite, I wouldn't say, but there are definitely good ones. I'll say that, like the opener and title track, So Far as well, not long after. Set Me Free at the end, the closer, very good as well. A kind of future garage number and cut from him there. Other drops as well over the course of the LP are pretty decent. It just lacks a statement maker or two, I think, this LP, to kind of frame the album around and just give it that star quality to kind of bolster it and provide that fulcrum around which everything kind of functions, if you know what I mean. But still good to hear an LP of his style. I like that. It's very diverse and ambitious with the amount of genres he's tackled here. I just think there's more potential for storytelling in his music, and I don't think we quite got that here. Could get it in a future LP from him, a second LP, because yeah, I think his style deserves that. Just having an LP where there's a lot of story bound up in it. Well, at least more again than what we get here. A good album here from Turnian Sound. I think it's a real journey through dubstep and grime and garage and seemingly everything in between as well. So yeah, love that about it, that variety. It's got a very good continuous feel about it also. A lot of 1 minute or 1.5 minute interludes that we get here, stitching together all the longer tracks we get on the project, which is quite rare as an approach and hard to do well, but they do it well, I think. Quite a few tracks here do feel more like snippets than kind of rounded off cuts, but that is unique. That is a unique approach that they have adopted here. The flip side of that is that it does feel a little bit bloated to me, and I think quite a few cuts here could have been, or could have gone to the chopping board. They feel a little bit superfluous, don't add that much to the collection overall, but the general execution is amazing, from transitions to production to sound usage and all of that, and it just feels like one that's going to reveal more of itself as you go back to it again and again, and I will be doing that quite a few times more before the year's up. Moving on from there, an absolutely mind-melting collection of tracks here from Upscale called Upscare, and it is scary, I think, how good this compilation is, covering things like Neuro and Halftime and Dubstep and Glitch Hop, I think, and things in between, all of those as well. An amazing roster of producers on show here, from Hudson Lee to Frequent to Copycat, Nico Scheme, and far, far beyond. And genuinely, again here, we've got a situation where all 12 tracks that we get just have some kind of incredible star quality about them. I think the opening trio in particular, they're so striking that you just can't leave the compilation once you've got into those three. And there are bits of comedy as well lobbed in here as well that just gives it an added bit of panache and class and pizzazz, and just a good feeling. A little bit of difference as well from most other compilations we get within this scene, having that kind of comedic slant. Yeah, just superb. So how to sum up an album like this into a minute or so segment? First of all, I just have to say what a work of art this album is, what a feat it is as well, given how many tracks we get, the sheer range of it, the sound design, the production value. I'm genuinely not sure we've seen an LP with this much all-round expertise on show, on display, in years in this scene. I mean, yeah, there are tracks here, there are drops, there are ideas that do fall by the wayside a little bit comparatively, but at practically every turn across the 20 tracks we get here, there are details that just leave you completely dumbfounded. And then beyond that, there are exceptional tracks to go with that, again within the 20 we get. Chef's Suggestion, Big Drum, Palindromes, Offshore Platform. I mean, really, to be honest, they're all exceptional in some way or another. I mean, yeah, a couple of people might say it's a bit jumbled in terms of the track listing and in terms of a track-by-track listen. There's not much linearity or a story kind of binding these tracks together. But it is still a sonic masterpiece at the end of the day that really keeps you locked in from start to finish. And just think about the amount of time that must have been spent putting all these details in, refining these tracks. So yeah, pretty confident with this Vorso album that it will be seen as one of the most impressive of the bass era in the years to come. Moving on, another good Wink EP, not quite at the level of his self-titled, which came out a few months ago, but still showcasing a lot of his best traits, I think. You know, that impactful, trappy breaks kind of percussion, you got the range in vocal samples, the gloominess of it with the aesthetic and the electric synth usage and all that stuff. So yeah, the idea is maybe not quite as refined as other good ones he's put out before, but it is still good. It is still a good EP. His standard it's here. Penultimately, debut album, I think, from X2H on Neoluminum. Yeah, this is an interesting review. I used to give this guy regular feedback, so doing this right here is a little bit of a full circle moment. I love it. But yeah, mad to see, I think, just how far he's come with his production, his idea making. There's a really good energy, I think, to the album, which is quite difficult to do over the stretch of, you know, this many tracks, and he does that well. There's a lot of variety as well. I love Conscious Ache. Is it Conscious Ache or Conscience Ache, actually, with V. Never known quite how to say that name, but yeah, that's a good collaboration. That's my favourite on the LP, and hopefully this is just a good platform for him to go off and keep doing his thing, keep improving, keep putting out music. Also did a really good collaboration, or released a really good collaboration, I think with Corva on Silkenwood a couple of weeks ago, so yeah, check that out as well. But yeah, X2H doing good things. And finally here for today with this video, we have what might be my least favourite of this compilation series from 1985 music. I think the EEPROM at the very end, track number 12 here, is the only one that I'm really feeling and getting into. The Sesko and Biome are decent as well, but quite a few other big names on show here, and you know, whilst the production's amazing, always will be with this label and these producers, the idea is not quite providing as much. But there we have it, guys, the October 2023 edition of the Extra Nawties Monthly Roundup. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. But now for the extra mentions, gonna put them up on the screen right here, right now, for you all to see. And yep, if you want to take a screenshot, note them down, pause the video, whatever you want to do. These are ones that I didn't mention in the main part of the video and give a little mini review to because I didn't have quite enough to say about them, but which I still recommend you guys check out if you have the time. I know there's quite a bit here, but trust me, it's worth it to have a good comprehensive knowledge of bass music and just to enjoy the music as well, of course. So yeah, check these ones out. But with regards to what I reviewed in this video, the mini reviews, which ones did you enjoy? Which others not so much? Are there any that I missed out? Let me know in the comments section down below. Beyond that, my Patreon is linked down below along with my social media accounts if you want to help support the channel and all that good stuff. But yeah, I shall see you all in the next one, whatever that might be. Keep it naughty until then. Peace.